Pull up a chair. Hey, folks. Welcome back to the Empathy Lab Kitchen Table Sessions, episode 18, Reading the Room. So last time I sat here, I had walked through 4 questions about the survival script from inside my own surgery, and that was a diagnostic. This week, though, folks, this week we're having a bit of fun. This week, I want to read the room. Not the internet's room, just the general culture room, my room, the things that are capturing my attention in 2026, the music that I'm listening to, possibly warbling in the background, and the conversations that my hubs and I are having at dinner, the things that my son is noticing about the world as he is now a tween, and the news that sometimes keeping me up. And when I was thinking about this episode in the lab discussing it, I was like, how do I show folks the kleshas just walking around in plain clothes? And the only way that I felt I could do that is if I show you them walking around in my life. So you might start to see them in yours. Not because we need to be out here right now in July during the full moon week fixing anything, because seeing is the practice. And honestly, as I said last week or the week before, and I'll say again this week, you don't have to do anything about what I'm going to name. The first step is knowing that it is what it is. So we are now about 2 weeks outside of the World Cup. We're still talking about it. Lots of stuff happened on there, and also I want to talk about unrest on the pitch. So we know that Spain won the World Cup Sunday, July 19th. We know that there was a lot of, let's say, theories around that. They won 1-0 over Argentina in extra time. And the moment it ended, Argentina showed you exactly what Venetia looks like when it has nowhere left to go. So what happened here? Paredes grabbed the Spanish player by the throat. Molina punched Rodri. Gabby got kicked on the ground. 46 fouls in the match, and 25 of them from Argentina. Let's talk about it now. Now, it was a brawl, to which I have in the years, which is every year of my life that I can remember watching football, watching the World Cup, never have seen this behavior in my life. I was like, an Argentinian coach grabbing a Spanish player. What the hell is going on? And people are like, oh, this is poor sportsmanship. No, it's not. That is not poor sportsmanship, what we saw. That is what we saw in real time is the survival script collapsing. And now I'm pretty sure now that you've seen this brawl, you can kind of look at other things happening in the world. Venetia says, if I lose, I'm erased. When the loss arrives and the body has no exit, it goes to the person standing in front of it, right? The brawl is what happens when the nervous system equates losing a football match with annihilation. And we have Lamine Yamal praying on the field as soon as the whistle is blown. So chaos is happening, and we have this one individual giving thanks. Meanwhile, Messi, I'm going to hold my peace on that because Argentina is not a team I like, and Messi is not a player that I'm into. Fight me in the comments, okay? Meanwhile, Messi, standing on the other side of the pitch, he's got his hands on his hips. He's watching his own teammates lose their minds. And then he walks over and shakes every Spanish player's hand. Same team, same loss. One man running the klesha, one man witnessing it. That is the whole framework in one image. And to sum it all up, we have Lamine Yamal who walks over to embrace Messi. End scene. Passing of the golden boot per se. Okay? Let's talk about the halftime show. There's a really cool comedian. Her name is Laura Ramuso. I'm going to have her links in the show notes as I usually do. Now, the halftime show, first ever FIFA halftime show, and Laura Ramuso does such a good bit on this. Like, go see it. It's on YouTube. And the halftime show modeled the Super Bowl. We got Tom Cruise out there giving a speech about unity at a match between two countries that he has no connection to. Okay, we have the American anthem right before the game. And I can't remember because I was watching it with family if the respective countries' anthems came first and then theirs. I really don't remember if they did that all again, but I think in the 20 minutes they had no time to do that. All this is happening on American soil. We've got Madonna out there. We've got Ronaldo and Ronaldinho standing there while she's performing, like, hey, the best of soccer, both of them smiling. The world's game, folks, got a Super Bowl makeover and nobody in the stadium asked for it. To add to this, before I talk about the klesha running, but you probably have figured it out, we've got Justin Bieber, okay? One of Canada's most famous folks. I said one of, I didn't say the only one of. So he comes out and we're all going to pretend like he's never played in front of thousands of people before. We've got Jason Sudeikis out there showing up as Ted Lasso, like coaching him to start singing this song. I mean, it's just, I was like, what is going on? And you know what? That's a video performing universality while the camera's running. That's that klesha, right? Going on. So, not so. I've given you two, just looking at the World Cup, because I was a footballer. I will always be a footballer. And that's how you can see some of that playing out there. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the hamster wheel. So my husband and I, like, we sit down to dinner and we sit down a lot. We sit down a lot. Of course, we sit down a lot. We often have conversations, you know, and we've been talking about this particular klesha for a while. I think it's been the last couple of weeks. It's the one that is the craving, the chasing, the acquiring, the hamster wheel that everybody is running and no one's naming. Okay. It's the purchases, the vacations, the hustle, don't take a bite out of your meal. I got to take a picture of it for the gram. You know what I mean? Vacations that are performances, because you see more of the vacation on like the interwebs, and when they come back, you don't hear from them, or they don't have, like, back in the day we had video reels. I'm not saying that anybody has to bring that back. That's all I'm saying. The hustling, I mentioned the hustle, but the hustle that never arrives anywhere, you know, and he and I sit and we talk about it with a lot of love and a lot of honesty, right? What it is it's raga, and it's the grip around the next thing. So all of this continuous playing the game, being in the game, being out of the game, that's gripping. And it's the attachment to the idea that the next acquisition, the next experience, the next upgrade will be the one that finally completes the picture, finally makes me whole, finally makes me happy. And scene, it never does. What happens is the wanting doesn't stop when the thing arrives. The wanting is not about the thing. It's all about wanting the thing, right? And he and I have been talking, and I'm like, you know, we see it in our close friends, you know, and sometimes we wonder, like, are we alien? Because he and I can name the hamster wheels that he and I are both in all the time, right? And then we feel bad because we feel like we're judging when we're sitting in the bardo of the whole thing, and then we flag it for folks around us, and they look at us like we have two heads. And I'm, like, as your hostess with the mostest, I'm not above any of this, okay? Check it out. The Empathy Lab, the thesis, the novel, submissions, surgeries, the everything, right? Tatum has her own hamster wheel. And the hamster wheel has a different paint job when you are building something you believe in. So everything I named, clearly I believe in it, and I will down a hill for it. However, the mechanism behind the whole thing is the same. Raga doesn't care about our intentions. It runs the grip regardless, right? For example, my current raga is shopping, right? For some reason, not for some reason, I know the reason. My thing is shopping. I will go, and I'm a great online shopper. I will go, I have my apps for the places I like to shop that are ethical and whatnot, and I will fill an online cart with things that I assume I want, right? And some of the things I need, and some of the things it's like, okay, hey, I worked really hard, or I just want that thing. Like, not because I know it's going to make me happy when I get it. I actually take out the just, take out the actually, I want it. Plain and simple. And then sometimes I buy it and sometimes I don't. And when I do buy it, I feel terrible about it. And I give myself a whole talk about, oh, you wanted this thing, now you bought it, you think it's going to make you happy. Journals. There you go. That I was trying to think as I was talking to you guys about this. What is one thing that I can say that they'll be like, oh yeah, I have a thing with notebooks. I have a thing with journals. I have a thing with Moleskines. I have a thing with pens. Okay. And I always figure, oh, I want that one. And in the times when I'm like, I want that one, the raga running is I want that because then I will write the perfect journal entry, whatever the fuck that is. I'll be able to have the best line for my next novel, or like I'll draw the perfect thing, the wanting. And then I chide myself after I get it as though I don't deserve it. Super wild. So there you go. That's raga journals. Any woman can talk to you about that one little thing that they think if they get that thing, they'll be happy. My other thing before I move on to the next topic is bags. I have a thing for bags. I follow someone on Substack who is also equally into bags. And she was saying that she's just on this hunt for a bag and she hopes one day that she finds the right one. And also she's probably found the right one. And it's not the right one that she thinks is in her mind because she's always changing her mind about what that right one is. The wanting, the fucking hamster wheel. It's crazy. It could be anything. Books, Kindles, pens, paints, whatever, shoes, you name it. Raga. Name your own raga here, folks. Huge sigh. Why am I sighing? Because this one was like really had me sit down, and then I had to sit down on the floor, and then I just lay down on the ground. So sometimes I talk about my son. He is 12. Everyone knows that he is autistic, and he is one of the most precise observers of human behavior I have ever met. We're going to call this segment Kind Spots and Not Kind Spots, a video through a 12-year-old's eyes. My son doesn't have the option of ignoring the architecture or the structure of the room because his nervous system registers everything the room is doing, whether the room intended to communicate it or not. My son already knows what the fuck is going on. And he said something to me recently. He said the world has kind spots and not kind spots. That is his language. And in that moment, I was like, huh? And I was like, yo, Tatum, that is his language for what I call inclusion and exclusion. We can even call it, if you want to get philosophical about it or highfalutin about it, structural inclusion and exclusion. He is mapping the same thing I map in my research, and he is doing it without the vocabulary and with more accuracy than most of the organizational leaders I have studied have ever done. And what prompted this was he wants to go to New York City, right? He wants to go and see things in New York City. There are buildings and trains and science things that happen in New York City that he really wants to go see. And he wants to go visit his hero, one of his heroes, Mark Rober, and they happen to live in the States. As you know, while we are people from the cultural community, and I have made it very plain that I have no desire to go into the US, and I've said it out loud, and he has obviously heard me say this because it's not safe. And he realized, hey, that's an unkind spot for us right now. And also realized that during the World Cup, the US looked like a really cool place to be because here are all these people that look kind of like him going into what they call flyover states and having a really great time. And the population there embracing those folks and wanting to learn more about them. So the US on a whole, not kind spots, but not kind spot. And also there are kind spots in there. My son also brought it up because he happened to hear part of the headline about the young man named Nolan who passed away when he went on a party boating trip with his friends to a small island, and his friends came back and he didn't. And what prompted him coming to me and saying that, and me realizing, oh my word, my 12-year-old has realized this is a video at the structural level. The world that refuses to see what does not fit the inherited design means that my son's neurodivergence ultimately, at the end of the day, means that the world was not built for the way his mind moves. He knows this. And he has known it longer than he has had words for it. And the not kind spots are the places where the architecture was designed for a frequency that is not his. My son was bullied in daycare and then again in kindergarten and grade 1, right? And when we think about bullying, we're like, preschool? Yeah, it happens, okay? My son is not wrong about the world. The world, in the way it's constructed right now, is wrong about him. And I had to stop, and that's when I was sitting and lying on the floor, Because when a 12-year-old can map the inclusion architecture of his environment with more precision than a DEI committee, then I have to say that committees are not the solution. Seeing is the solution. And some people, neurodivergent folks, Black people, anybody whose body doesn't match the inherited design, have been seeing it their whole lives. The klesha isn't theirs. It belongs to the system that they're in that refuses to look at them. Okay, here we are, 20 minutes in, roughly. Now I'm going to talk about what is that, and I think I said in the beginning, what keeps me up. And so I live in Canada. My really good friend, cousin, god sister in the States refers to it as Canada. And, you know, a lot of what is thrown at me here in Montreal is just thrown around in general. Montreal language, the news, Dervisha and Asmita in my own city. I live here. I'm a Black woman, Caribbean woman, Afro-Latina, Indo-Caribbean, whatever label you want to put them all together because they're all valid. I turn on the news, open my phone when I do decide to scroll, and I feel accosted. And that's not hyperbole. What I feel is a somatic response to a media environment that wasn't designed for my frequency. And I'm saying this because many like me face what I call dual gaslighting environments, especially here. Where here in the province to which I live, they scream up and down, there is absolutely no racism. And also the language that you speak makes you different. So I need you to speak mine and assimilate immediately and don't ask me any questions. And in order to do that, I'm going to take away everything that makes you you so that you have nothing of you left and you can only embrace what I am. This is what is happening here. Vive la Quebec live. Wow. And I'm going to come out on my neck and say it with my full chest. Quebec is built on immigrants. Okay? Quebec is built on immigrants. The French were sent here on boats. So if you've left where you're from and you come to another place, I'm an anthropologist. Just want to point that out for the world. You leave where you're from. You're put on a boat and you're sent to another place. From what I understand, unwillingly. You land in that other place where there are already people here and you decide to stay here. You have immigrated here. So I can easily say Quebec is built on immigrants. You too, as well, French person. Now, Montreal is one of the most multicultural cities on the planet. And would it not surprise you to know that we all arrived here in some way, shape, or form? The language laws that are really being held up by notwithstanding clauses, was trying to unravel that. The religious symbol bans, the specific flavor of xenophobia that wears a progressive mask, that is asamita at the provincial level. Defended identity, the founding story that says we are this, and if you challenge this, you challenge our entire existence. The same pattern as the founding wound that I wrote about extensively in my articles for the corporate junkies on LinkedIn as any organization. This is the origin myth running the operating system. And we can see the parallel to what is happening in the US is not accidental. It is the klesha at different scales. The misogyny from the South, incel movements and whatnot reaching Montreal, it's not the first time. We had December 7th here. We had the Polytechnique massacre. We had that here. So there's been misogyny here in Quebec for a long time. We just had a young man that drove from Alberta all the way to Montreal with a mishmash. I don't even know what that manifesto was, but decided to go to Côte des Neiges, one of the most multicultural spots in Montreal, and decided to shoot up the place. As I said before, Quebec has language laws. We have religious bans here. And we have the racism that no one names because Quebec's founding story says we're a tolerant society built by and for the French language. I said that earlier. And it's with that thought that I was about to talk about NVIDIA, but I'll jump back over here, that folks thought it was okay to protest in a town called Shawinigan with a sign that says, I remember a white Quebec. What the fuck? Because there never was one. I just want to point that out there. And then the politicians that very subtly encourage this, right, swear up and down that Quebec has no racism. Let's just rewind a little bit to the incident in Joliet 2 or 3 years ago where the young woman lost her life on camera. These folks, our politicians that we vote in, swear up and down that Quebec has no racism. Just the disappearance of French is cause for alarm. And then I look at everything and I'm like, yo, my parents immigrated here. I was born in Cotonou. I was born in St. Mary's. And I'm supposed to be now at 47, my big age, okay with this as a taxpayer. We have police officers here, folks, who are still in the force. I think they're in non-public facing roles, who worked in another area of Montreal North, another super multicultural area, and a symbol of where our Haitian brothers and sisters really developed that part of the city, right? So the police officer would go out and just like stop and search, arrest for no reason other than profiling. And those they arrested, they cut the locks of Black men in like 2024, 2025, 2026, and kept them as trophies in 2026. And that's not racism, according to our current premier, Christian Frechette. She says it's a groupsicle that got together to do that. I ask, what the fuck is a groupsicle? Like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? And when we talk about kleshas, avidya is the refusal to see the full picture. So nobody wants to see the full picture of any of this. That's what's going on right now. And asamita, the identity that collapses when it's challenged. So now we have, I don't want to see this, and my whole identity is built on this, and it's collapsing because I'm being challenged. And then we have dervesha, which is the walls we build to keep out whatever threatens our groove, our wall. Different flags, same nervous system. We could talk about tariffs. We could talk about the war in Iran. We could talk about global toxicity. We can talk about the erosion of community, the ways in which we've divided ourselves into camps that cannot hear each other. The individual that said, what is really heavy right now is that we all agreed watching children dying in Gaza is okay because it's not happening here. And it became not okay, more not okay, when ICE started to do the things it did. And this is a kitchen table, y'all. I am being very straight about what things are, not taking it aside. As I said, this is kleshas operating in areas, global scales, cultural scales, that you can actually be like, oh shit, that's what the fuck that is. Oh my God, this word she's been saying, then she just gave it a colors on a page for me to be able to see. That's what that is. Oh shit. At least I hope. I really hope. And now I'm going to run a bit of a counter frequency because I've just been really heavy for about 25 minutes. After doing a culture vulture episode, I need to run a counter frequency. I need to run an anti-resistance on these resistances that are coming up, right? And here's what's holding my room together, like music. You guys know me as DJ Sirius Black. You know, the music, my June top artist list on Deezer tells the whole story. What have I been listening to? I've been listening to, and now some of you are going to fall on your face. I've been listening to Glorilla. According to my artist profile, I gave her 36 minutes. She's full-size presidents refusing to apologize for the space that she takes up. Yes, she's complicated. That is the antidote to every passive blocker I've ever mapped. She is the whole ask as a person, right? I'm listening to TGIF. That's one that really gets me going. And I'm actually going to give you guys a whole playlist, but now you know TGF is one of the ones that really gets me going and gets my dog going as well. Meg Thee Stallion. I'm a big Meg Thee Stallion fan, believe it or not. 25 minutes, 25 whole minutes, same energy, different frequency. Meg has been through the public trial, the betrayal, misogyny. The industry's trying to shrink her, and she's still here, still full volume. Abonisha tried to run, and she outran it. She was like, yo, later, can't run and face up to these knees. Kid Cudi gave 24 minutes. Now, he makes music about depression and anxiety and the inside of a mind that does not work the way the world says it should. This is the klesha framework set to a beat. He has been naming the patterns his whole career without using a word of Sanskrit. Okay, Kid Cudi, just go there, do that. Who else is on there? The Robert Glasper experiment. We got about 29 minutes. And those minutes are sattva, clarity through complexity, jazz that thinks, music that makes the room smarter just by being in it. Listen to Bad Bunny. I've been listening to Rihanna. Been listening to Lil Wayne's Hustler music. Was playing while I wrote these show notes for the Culture Vulture episode today. My playlist is the counter frequency. I got Jill Scott in there. I got Tara Whack in there. This is the counter frequency to everything. When the news is Dervesha and the culture is Raga and the government is Asmita, the music needs to be what holds the room. And here, I'm going to get super personal because I get personal, but I have to keep my husband off the podcast table. But I want to tell you about my husband. My husband is 6'4". My husband is Quebecois. He's French. My husband's a metalhead. Tool, Pussifier, Perfect Circle, that frequency, all the way. My husband's a Scorpio who will tell you to your face that he does not like people. And he married a Trinidadian woman who talks about feelings for a living. This is its own klesha diagnostic right here. Okay. So it's amazing, like amazing. It's absurd and beautiful in its pairing. Now, my husband, he watches something called Music for Change. Music for Change. Again, the link will be in the show notes. And musicians from all over the world, strangers, unknown artists from different countries gather to play famous songs. And usually one of the people that was involved in the song that being played, a band member or the band themselves, are involved. Now, I don't know the story behind it, but I don't think these people have ever met. They do not speak the same language. They're also in different places when they're playing. So when you see them, they just have a little inner thing and they're in their home country or wherever they happen to be, and they sit down and they play. And the music is the bridge. There's no performance. There's no hamster wheel. Strangers coming together, building something together because the building is the fucking point, right? And that is what I talked about, again, the AND protocol at a global scale. What's the AND protocol? Both and. Community as practice, not content. It is the opposite of everything I just named in the Raga section. No grip, no chase, people showing up to make something with absolutely no attachment to what it becomes. We're just going to do this. We're just going to picnic to picnic. We're just going to jam to jam. We're just going to do whatever to do whatever because whatever. Everything, what is it? Everything, everywhere, all at once? That's basically that. Now, my husband runs interference in our house. He is the person who sits with the kleshas. Not to name them. He would never, ever use that word. To find the wisdom inside of them. He watches the news. He scrolls, from time to time. He gets angry. He gets perturbed when he hears me talk about things that I experience with this face, in this incarnation, in this body. And then he watches Music for Change and remembers why he still believes the world can be different. He understands it's completely fucked, and he still believes that we can liberate ourselves. He holds both truths at the same time simultaneously. My 6'4" metalhead Scorpio who hates people and still believes. That is the practice. Not the meditation, not the framework. It's the willingness to hold anger and belief, hope, love, whatever you call it, in the same body without one canceling the other. That's the dude that I'm journeying with. Everything all at once, all the time. Now, the playlist is going to be on Substack after this episode later on. Go and find the frequency. I'll tell you what I'm listening to. You tell me what's holding your room. So here we are. We're coming down to the end of our shows this week. And this was the practice of seeing. The World Cup. My son's kind spots. The hamster wheel. Montreal. The music that holds the room when the rest of it is falling all the way apart. That is what had my attention in 2026. Well, we're 7 months in, guys. We've got the bar belt. I'm not an astrologer, but the bowl happening. People are talking about it. We've got the full moon on Wednesday. We have the nodes changing place today, Sunday, July 26th. So we got to make our lunar node intentions. What else do we have? We got to breathe this week. We have Jupiter going into the sun this week. This is what I've been looking at in July. Not trending topics, the things that live in my body, the things I talk about at dinner, the things my 12-year-old sees that most adults have trained themselves not to. The kleshas are not an abstract framework. They're an operating system of culture, of the country, of the city, of your kitchen table, of your soup. You do not have to do anything about what I just named. The first step is knowing that it is, that is what that is, or is what it is. Next week, I'll be back with the Raga Diagnostic. 4 questions about the grip. Now it's your turn. This has been the Empathy Lab, the kitchen table sessions. I'm Tatum. Stay hydrated. Be kind to each other. Stay anchored. I'll see you next week. Peace.